Hello lovely couples and welcome back to my channel. I'm Lauren, wedding planner and owner of Bluebird Creative. I provide a weekly dose of wedding planning goodness for the modern couple. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the bell because then you'll be notified every week when a new video lands. So this week I have decided to jump on a topic or a question that has basically been asked so many times recently. In fact, I've had 3 couples this week ask me this question and I thought, right, I need to do a video on this. I need to help answer the question for you guys. I need to make my life easier so I'm not repeating myself either. And it also made me realise that there's just not enough information out there that describes the differences between the 2 roles that we're going to talk about today. It's confusing and I totally get why my brides don't know the difference and why they're asking me that question. So let's do this. Let's jump on into this week's video and we're going to be talking about the difference between a wedding day coordinator and a venue coordinator. Let's go. Okay guys, so little disclaimer to begin with. I am not anti venue coordinator at all. In fact, I can think of 2 particular venue coordinators that I know quite well, that I absolutely love working with, that I'm going to be working with on a couple of my weddings, and being able to work with them just makes the weddings even better. I'm just going to be talking about the differences in the job roles because they are different, and obviously there wouldn't really be a wedding coordinator job role if the venue coordinator job role was the same, if that makes sense. So let's just jump on into the differences so that you guys will have the knowledge to make an informed decision as to whether you want to take on a wedding coordinator if your venue has a venue coordinator as well. So let's go. The first one, it's kind of obvious, I think. If you are not getting married at your venue and you're getting married in a church or somewhere else, maybe a registry office or just in a different location, you are obviously not going to have your venue coordinator with you. I know that's an obvious one, but it's true. You are not going to have somebody there just making sure that everybody is going where they need to go, that the ushers are perhaps doing the jobs that they need to do, that your guests know where to park, that you know when to start walking down the aisle, that your bridesmaids know when to start walking down the aisle, to help organise your confetti shot, and so on. There's not going to be anybody there to help with that. And if you're happy with that, that's absolutely fine. But just remember the venue coordinator is not going to be there for that because their priority and their job is at the venue. That's their employer, is the venue. Whereas if you had a wedding coordinator, you are their employer and they are there for you on the day, no matter where you are or what you're doing. I think one of the best ways to put the differences is that a venue coordinator, although they do have your best interests at heart, their focus is the venue. It's about the running of the day and the logistics and how it's all going to work. Whereas a wedding coordinator, it's about you and your day. So it's more of a personal job role to you. They're your wedding day BFF. They're your kind of PA on the day, but also looking after all the logistics and all the details. And hopefully the next few points will kind of highlight those differences a little bit more. That's not to say, as I mentioned, that the venue coordinator doesn't have your best interests at heart, because they wouldn't be in the job if they didn't care about their couples. But their main focus is going to be on the venue and those parts of the day. So let's just dive in a little bit deeper, shall we? So let's think about your wedding day timeline. A venue coordinator, and they all vary slightly with how they do their jobs, but as a general, let's go with, a venue coordinator will probably touch base with suppliers just to check arrival times and let them know where they can deliver and just check what time that they're delivering. Okay, you can deliver here, this door's going to be open, and if you could do that at that time, that would be amazing. A wedding coordinator will look into that timeline a little bit more. They will look at the schedule holistically so that they're making sure that there's no clashes with suppliers arriving and that the florist's not setting up before the lighting company come in because actually they need all the tables out the way to get the lighting in, and just looking at the whole picture and kind of like the smaller details of how everything's going in. They're also going to create your schedule and allow extra time for things that are personal to you. So perhaps, popping in a note to go for sunset shots, or popping in a note to say, you guys go and take 5 while guests go and take their seat. all those sorts of things on the timeline. Your wedding coordinator is going to look at those personal bits as opposed to just logistics and rough timings with speeches or catering, speeches, evening, cake. That's not the order of how it goes, but you know what I mean. That's the order it came out of my head. So to summarise, the venue are looking more at the venue logistics, and a wedding coordinator is looking at couple specific logistics as well as the overall logistics as well. So again, it is a different role. A venue coordinator will be there different hours to a wedding coordinator. So a venue coordinator will be there from when the venue opens, and they may leave after the wedding breakfast. It's not always the case. It totally depends on the venue and how their job role is interpreted. But sometimes the catering manager will then take over for the evening part of the wedding, and the venue coordinator will go home. So you won't necessarily have the same person or the same point of contact throughout the day. You might not even know your catering manager that's going to kind of be managing the rest of your day. So it's not going to be, again, such a personal role. Whereas your wedding coordinator will either be there for the whole day from start to finish, or they'll be there again for a set amount of hours, but usually focused around you and your timings for the day. They'll probably oversee most of the setup, and they'll stay till after the first dance. So they're there for all the bits that you're involved in, that need to make sure that you're in the right place and that your guests are in the right place, as opposed to the venue side of things, if that makes sense. But some wedding coordinators will stay for the full day, and some venue coordinators will stay for the full day. So there is movement, but it's good to understand and make sure that you're asking that question when you're looking into what they do and whether you want to have a wedding coordinator as well as. And then there's the details and the styling. So a venue coordinator will probably help be involved, and they'll have their team help with, say, how the napkins are going to be set up and popping out the favours and the menus and that sort of thing. And a wedding coordinator would do the same thing. They would make sure that all those details are styled up nicely, but they might look into it in a little bit more detail. They'll probably have had conversations with you in detail about the different areas that you've got set up. So they'll know that your table plan has to have the flowers in a particular way and you want it moved at another point, so we'll move it for you. Wedding coordinators, I think, are just looking more into the design and the styling and the details that you've chosen for your day, and not just having their team place it over there for you. A wedding coordinator will make sure that they understand exactly how you want it instead of just setting it up, if that makes sense, because they know how much time and effort you've put in to those details. That's not to say a venue coordinator doesn't understand that. It's just a different role. They'll just be looking at, okay, we've got to pop this over here because this is what we need to do, and they might have a team do it or they might do it themselves, whereas it's always going to be your wedding coordinator and their assistant doing the little jobs for you and knowing exactly what you want because they've talked through it with you in person. Then it comes to guests and guest management. So I would say a wedding coordinator is more focused on your guests. A venue coordinator is obviously just making sure that the venue is running. That is their priority, and they want to make sure that the venue is safe and being looked after. So if there was a guest that was getting themselves into trouble, then they would obviously step in, or if they'd had too much to drink, because they have to protect the venue. That is their responsibility. Whereas a wedding coordinator is a little bit, as I've said, personal to you guys. So we're looking out for your guests. Me personally, I make a point of finding out the important people to you on your wedding day so that I can keep an eye on them and make sure that they're happy. So if Grandma Joan is your special person, then we make sure that she's okay. We give her a helping hand when we need to. We make sure that she needs a drink. We check in with her. Do you want a seat? That sort of thing. You make sure that your guests know where they're going. You make sure that everybody's happy to a certain degree and that you're happy as well, and that you've always got a drink when you need it. And if you need some extra hairspray or some hair grips, I mean, we always come with things like that for the bridesmaids and for the bride, and we always pop a little bag of toiletries in the bathroom for the ladies and so on. So it's those little guest moments and details that make it more personal when you've got a wedding coordinator. A wedding coordinator will also either toastmaster for you. Some of them do, some of them don't. I do if needed. But they will also prompt and be there for your toastmaster. So if you haven't hired a professional toastmaster, which not as many people are doing nowadays, and they may have a member of their groomsmen or their bridal party be their toastmaster, A wedding coordinator will have that detailed in their ridiculously detailed timeline, and they will try and help that person relax so that they're not panicking all day or not having a drink or not enjoying themselves properly because they're thinking, oh gosh, no, I have to try and remember and not forget that I've got to usher everybody through to here and say this at this time. A wedding coordinator will make a beeline for them at the beginning of the day. They'll introduce themselves. We're going to be there all day and we're going to come and prompt you when you need to ask guests to take their seats into the wedding breakfast or when they need to go through to this room. We will be there to prompt you so that you can relax, that sort of thing. And that is more of a wedding coordinator role instead of a venue coordinator role. And finally, I think a biggie here is that a wedding coordinator comes with a humongous kit bag. And to find out what I have in my kit bag, I actually did a video on it, so you can check it out here. But it's big. We come with extension leads, we come with hammers, we come with spare tights for guests, we come with hairspray, hair grips, extra lipsticks, we come with blue tack, hooks, glue dots, Velcro, mini stitching kits, like loads of random things for the ifs, the buts and the maybes, because you have to remember that weddings are live events and things do go wrong at live events. It's human nature. There is always going to be something that doesn't quite go how we'd hoped that it would go. But by having a wedding coordinator who understands you as a couple, they will make sure that they deal with those things in the best way possible. And that might be because they've got their kit bag of dreams that they can then deal with something. It could be a whole array of things. It could be nothing. And we make sure that we deal with it how you would want it to be dealt with. We also make sure that we know the most important parts of the day to you so that we can deal with those expectations and deal with anything that does arise around the important parts for you. I hope that makes sense. So basically, all in all, a wedding coordinator is an amazing human that helps keep your wedding ticking and brings an immense amount of goodness to your wedding. I hope I said venue coordinator. A wedding coordinator and a venue coordinator together is literally the dream team. They are not the same job. They do have crossover, but they are not the same job. They are different jobs, and to summarise, venue coordinator obviously is employed by the venue and their priority is to look after the venue, the logistics and the running of the venue and the running of the day. A wedding coordinator is hired by the couple, so they are their priority and all the details that surround them on the day is the wedding coordinator's priority. So they actually work together really, really nicely. So after watching this video, just make sure if you're one of those brides or you're one of those grooms that's sitting there going, okay, right, I've now got a better idea, go and speak to your venue coordinator and check the roles that they do. So hopefully now you can make a more informed decision as to whether you want to just have the venue coordinator or whether you want to have a wedding coordinator as well, because they are different roles. I hope this video was helpful, guys. I hope that it clears up any unknowns between the two roles. They're both amazing roles. They're both really important to your wedding day. They are just different. So I hope that you now understand the differences between the two job roles, because I know so many couples have been getting confused, which is why I wanted to do this video. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a wonderful week. If you have any more questions or you're stuck at any other part of your wedding planning, do not forget I have my Power Hour sessions. You can book an hour one-to-one with me via Zoom. We will work through anything that you're stuck on. We can go through your design, we can go through your timeline, we can go through your budget, whatever it is. So just hit me up. In the description box below, there is my email. I would love to help you with your planning. Have a fantastic week, guys, and I will see you next week for some more wedding planning goodness. See you then.